We're talking about the past, present, and future of the city of Mesquite. That's next on Nevada Week.
Support for Nevada Week is provided by Senator William H. Hernstat, Cashman Equipment, Valley Electric Association, and additional supporting sponsors.
Welcome. I'm Kip Ortenberger, and thank you for joining us this week on Nevada Week. Well, the city of Mesquite has grown in its very short history from a Las Vegas stop-off town to a destination city in its own right. World-class golf courses, gaming, dining, and entertainment have brought tourists and retirees in big numbers. In fact, in 2006, Mesquite was named one of the fastest-growing cities in the nation. Then the recession hit the city hard. But since, Mesquite has diversified, innovated, and positioned itself to grow its economy and community in new ways. So what's going on in Mesquite now, and what could Mesquite look like in the very near future? Well, let's discuss this. Please welcome Mayor Alan Littman, Mayor of the City of Mesquite, Frank Tawdry, General Manager of Eureka Hotel Resort, and Colton Tierlink, President of Mesquite Region Economic Development. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the trip down from Mesquite. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor Littman, I want to start with you.
Okay.
For potentially a new resident that's looking at Mesquite, why Mesquite?
To start with, we're one of the cleanest cities I've ever lived in. And tourists look at this, that when they come through, and a lot of them say, you know, this is a nice place to maybe retire or look for work, as the case may be. We're very clean. We look at our statistics. We're rated, presently, I think, number 2 in the state in safety as far as crime. Our infrastructure is beautiful. It just looks good. It's got a great appearance to it to start with. And then, of course, you get into it a little bit further and you see the type of people that are living there. It's a friendly, wholesome, what we lack in this country now, small town environment. Yet we have a lot of amenities.
And then, Colton, let's talk about maybe the business amenities here. If you're a business and you're looking to relocate or potentially expand into new areas, why is Mesquite a good option?
You know, there's a few things businesses need, and that's, you know, good workers, and Mesquite has those and grows. Our population isn't huge, but when it comes to quality workers, Mesquite has a lot of them. And then you need your basic amenities. You need infrastructure. You need, you know, low cost of, you know, power, water, space, and we have all those. And you're not going to forego anything being located in Mesquite, but you certainly pick up a lot of benefits.
And Frank, let's talk about tourists also. You're a tourist and you're looking potentially to go outside of Las Vegas. Why is Mesquite an option for you?
Well, you know, first of all, it's just 90 minutes from Las Vegas. And, you know, a lot of people don't know what actually we have out there. You know, like you had mentioned earlier, we've got 7 world-class golf courses there. In fact, and one of the number 1 desert golf courses in the nation actually sits out there at Wolf Creek. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, people will come through as first-time visitors. A lot of them now aren't really looking at the gaming end of it. You know, they're looking at the pleasure, you know, the family end of it. Like the mayor said, we got fine dining out there and youth sports, adult sports. I mean, it's a community. I tell you what, the big point that I really want to emphasize, it's a community that cares about each other. The industry, the casino industry, cares about the community itself. There's a lot of programs out there that we do that are community friendly, you know, that for the youth, for the children, for the schools, you know, there's like that. So it's a tight community that's just, you know, embrace people to come in.
Mayor Littman, that's now. Let's look at what the vision might be 25 years from now. How does the answer then change to why Mesquite? Does it change at all?
I'm hoping it doesn't. I think Mesquite can maintain its solid bones. It'll grow, there's no doubt about it. I had commented once before, and Colton did the same thing today on the way down. A city that isn't growing is dying. But we are growing, but luckily we're growing at a nice pace, about 4% a year, maybe a little bit over that. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't do this into the future. So you can look ahead and say, you know, this is going to be a nice place 10 years from now, and 20 years from now, and 30 years from now.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that history, right? The city was incorporated in 1984. It's a relatively new city then. What stage of growth do you consider the city in? Are you still in your infancy? Are you in your adolescence? Or how
I
would
think
you
we're in the
classify it?
adolescent stage right now. At 25 years, we're a young city.
Population growth, what's projected in the next 10, 25 years of?
Well, again, right now we're about 24,000 full-time residents. I'm looking at about 4% a year, barring any unforeseen circumstances. One never knows that another recession could come into play, but I'm not looking in that direction. I'm very positive. Probably in around the 40 to 50,000 mark, somewhere along the line.
Colton, I mentioned in my intro, 2006 was rated one of the biggest growing cities, fastest growing cities in the U.S. Then the recession hit in 2009. What kind of impact did the recession have on Mesquite particularly?
We felt that a lot of our growth that was taking place at that time was in housing. We were being discovered by the retirement community as, holy cow, this place doesn't get much better than this. The golf courses are here, the weather is amazing. It's hot in the summer, but outside of that, we got it. Just what we want, a nice, dry, warm, climate. And so the housing was just on fire in Mesquite. And then just like all these surrounding areas and the nation, as a whole, housing stopped. And so we stopped. Luckily, we had a lot of good things prepared in advance to that, where a lot of infrastructure and industrial park was built. And so while it stopped, we're now out of that recession. That industrial park's ready to go. The economy's live and active, and we have this just incredible, well-planned industrial park that's on a part of town that doesn't interfere with the residents and the kind of quality of life. And so it's just primed for businesses to come in there and get available, affordable land with power, water, gas, fiber, everything to the curb. So it's kind of
Perfect, and we'll come back to where
Yeah.
Mesquite is going.
Terrific.
Frank, I want to ask just a little bit about the gaming and tourism industry during the recession. Did you notice that the impact was greater in a city like Mesquite versus, say, Las Vegas?
I think, us out in Mesquite, we felt it. You definitely knew the size of the wallet went in. And for the most part, the first time visitors coming up that actually wanted to come and to gamble, we're really careful with that wallet. We've got a lot of the snowbirds that come down, and for the most part, they're 6-month residents just to get out of the snow, and you felt that impact too. So the wallet did shrink for gaming, but as time has gone on, like I say, and the city has got more to offer, and it's growing, like Colton says, and it's well planned. And people realize that, and especially that 6-month visitor that comes down and now makes it their home. There's more and more I know that have stayed now instead of just so the grandchildren are getting bigger and whatever. But that 6-month resident is now turning into full-time residents. And that industry where the housing industry has come to a stop, as long as that keeps progressing, which is progressing now very nicely, I think that'll enhance everything.
So Mayor Littman, let's talk about the present then and where we are now. We're talking about population. What's the average resident like? Are we talking about mostly retirees?
No, not really. About 40% are retirees, and you've got a young population also in Mesquite. Somebody once said, there aren't any children to speak of in Mesquite, and I remember going out to a community event, being overrun by local kids. I mean, there were so many. So yeah, they're there. We do have a lot of retirees, and because it's so desirable, and I don't blame them. We have the Del Webb, of course, Pulte building constantly, and that's great. We're bringing in more retirees, 55 plus, but we have a lot of young people.
And then in infrastructure, as it sits right now, parks and libraries, and you mentioned some of the new schools that have been developed. Is the infrastructure there to then grow the economy, to bring in more young families?
Absolutely, absolutely. Mesquite has a master plan that was well thought out. Everything is laid out beautifully. We're not in the situation of having cones everywhere along the streets. I come down to Las Vegas a lot, and I know what's going on. I lived in Los Angeles. It was the same thing. Every other day they were adding a new lane to the freeway or something. No, it's been well thought out, so we're well poised. And again, with our industrial park for business, set up in advance, we're ready.
And then Colton, before we jump to the future, let's talk about present. So what are the main economic drivers right now in Mesquite?
We have our gaming, which is our biggest economic driver in our community. So we absolutely love our gaming. The other one is the population base with our retirees and the services that surround them to fulfill their needs. And then in addition to that, what we're focusing heavily on is diversifying our economy and bringing in more manufacturing, more businesses. We already have a good handful of businesses that found Mesquite early on, and they're well-established large companies in Mesquite. And now we are wanting to grow that sector of our economy and attract and bring more of them in. And so those are some of the larger drivers.
And what are some of the industries you're looking at then that could potentially grow?
So our industrial park is, located right on the I-15 corridor with a brand new interchange into it as well. So very easily accessible, and so it's a natural fit for the logistics and warehousing. So we understand some of the strengths in the way of, hey, based off our location, the reach you can have within a one-day's trucking drive. We know we're a strong fit for that. We've seen a lot of that, in North Las Vegas with all the logistics coming into that area. All those same benefits that exist in North Las Vegas also exist in Mesquite at a less cost. So it's really attractive in that standpoint. We have a 525,000 square foot do-it-best distribution center in Mesquite. That's been an incredible community partner, and I think it's not going to be long before some others follow suit. So that's something we're going after and attracting. We understand that manufacturers bring a lot of good jobs into a community, and we want to offer that to the residents of the Mesquite, and so we want some higher paying good manufacturing jobs, and the city has a lot to offer to bring those companies into Mesquite as well. If they can bring in capital investment, number of jobs, and good wages of jobs, the city can chip in and help out with getting them there.
Mayor Littman, let's talk a little bit more about that. And you mentioned North Las Vegas, so Mayor Lee has done a really great job of bringing in some tax incentives, but also just making city government more efficient to bring those types of industries in. Is that something you think you can model in Mesquite, or are you already modeling?
I think we're ahead of the game. We fast track when we need to, which is frequently. We do a hands-on approach. If a developer comes in, or a business company, even a small mom and pop operation, we hand carry them through. Yeah. So that we know that they're not lost in the shuffle, because there's always a lot of questions to be asked. And John Lee and I have talked about this oftentimes. I said, John, set us up a few more people, would you? It's easier to get to Mesquite sometimes than it is to drive across Las Vegas. So we're sort of working as a team.
And let's talk about the other end of the valley too. Mayor March in Henderson's done a really good job of bringing in a lot of tech into the community too, by marketing things like Safe Community and some of her community indicators. Are we trying to do the same thing in Mesquite too? Is there a possibility, Colton, I'll ask you this, of bringing in maybe more high-tech industry into that city?
We would absolutely love high-tech. Just like we do with all the other businesses, we'll roll out the red carpet for them because we have that ability and that approach in Mesquite right now. They would certainly get that same treatment. High tech is phenomenal. It brings a lot of value into community, and so it's competitive, and they know that, and they go where the talent is. You can often get that talent in larger populations. And so we are continually trying to find ways to be competitive in that area. It's certainly harder in a small community where you're not pulling from as large of a population base to get that talent, but it's something we absolutely want in our community and will always go after.
And Frank, let's talk more just about gaming and tourism here too. So we talked about recession, present, now we're looking in the future. Eureka's done a very good job of diversifying what tourism and gaming is in Mesquite. Can you explain some of the things that Eureka's done? Yeah,
we've certainly got more and more in doing core events, with the city. We have the Balloon Fest. We have the all barbecue cook-off. We used to have the Nitro Circus out there, and we got skydiving. We got gun clubs out there. So there's a whole lot of a whole lot of activities, that people can participate and come out along with the gaming end of it. Now we've got the sports ranch out there.
Rising Star Sports Ranch.
Rising Star Sports Ranch. That's a non-gaming property, and what that does is takes the clinics. We want clinics to come in there. We had an amateur basketball team in there. Now we do a lot of youth clinics, a lot of colleges. UNLV come out there and did it, and talking about what the mayor was talking about, bringing the young people in, retaining those young people is important for us out there. Like our company is 100% employee owned, so incentives to keep the young people coming out there and is paramount for us. But we've got concerts out there. We've got a community event called Shriek Rika. It's for Halloween, and then we do a 4th of July show that's probably tough to top. We have the Nevada Pops come out there all the time, and we had Clint Holmes. We have just a lot of top name entertainers that come out there. So pairing up with the community, to do core events is.
And then what kind of tourists are you getting for that? Are you getting mostly out of state, or are those within Las Vegas mostly?
We get a lot of out of state. A lot of out of state. As close as Las Vegas is, we don't get a lot of that business. We're getting a lot from Utah, probably Idaho, Midwest. It's an incredible amount of people that come in from the Midwest,
Absolutely.
Michigan. So basically we're getting pretty diverse. We're getting tourists from a lot of different places.
Mayor Littman, I want to come back to the sports ranch here, right? Because not only is that a hotel facility, but we're using local parks. We're using the built environment really to house a lot of these games in these sporting facilities. How is the collaboration then between private entity here and public really working, and can use that as a model for something that maybe can be developed in the future?
Yeah, I think it's working very well. We've got a lot of great sports fields. Of course, with the number of kids coming into the sports ranch, we could probably have double the number we have right now. But we're working, I think, fairly closely with the hotel casino industry on that. The youth sports, I look at it as a huge future for Mesquite. It's big in southern Utah, and they're looking at us. Can you guys accommodate us? We can't do it up there, or the weather isn't as nice up there, and we're poised for it right now.
Colton, we've talked a little bit about assets and some of the benefits. What are some of the barriers that are limiting where you're trying to drive economy?
And we're not unique in this sense. A lot of the areas are filling this is getting the labor force. Mesquite has an unemployment rate of around 3%. So if a new something comes in, and even some of our existing businesses, they have vacancies they're trying to fill. It's a competitive market right now for those that workforce, and so we're going after that in the form of getting more housing in Mesquite, because we feel and strongly believe if we get more housing there, people will want to locate and they'll want to fill those empty jobs. So getting some reasonable and affordable housing into Mesquite is really going to help alleviate and help us expand and grow that workforce. So.
And Mayor Littman, housing, this is a topic that in our previous legislative session that just concluded a few months ago was a major topic. We had some bills that passed. Do you think those will help Mesquite, especially the tax incentive bill? SB 448.
Absolutely. And rural, because we still come under rural housing in Mesquite, which is a great benefit for us. So we're looking at some projects that should be developing in the near future in that aspect. Housing it's a tightrope, because you have a supply and demand issue, and as the supply relinquishes, prices go up, and then that cuts out a certain number of people that would say, I'd love to go there, but I can't afford it now. So we have to get in more housing. And of course, if you have too much in the way of housing, then you've got a glut, and the prices go down, and the developers don't want to get involved. So it's a very fine line. But we are working very hard in that area right now. And we're not unusual to the rest of the country, I think, is facing the same thing. Yeah.
Wondering how the balance here works when you have such a high retirement community, and you've got very high numbers for election turnout, 83%, I believe, in 2016. How do you balance what is and what has brought Mesquite to what it is, the retirement community, to keep it the same, I would assume, and yet still be able to drive economy in the way it needs to go by building new industry?
I think if we build good, clean industry, it won't affect the retirees whatsoever. There's always that, well, we don't want it to get too big. Well, I don't think anybody in Mesquite wants it to get too big, but everybody's concept of what a city should be is different. Again, I see it as a good, solid community with nice planned growth, and I think we'll do very well with that.
And Frank, back to the gaming and tourism and talking about clean economy here, it seems like the sports angle is definitely one way and one strategy to use. Are there others that maybe gaming and tourism can do to really bring that clean economy to a city like Mesquite?
Yeah, we're at the gateway of the color country up there in southern Utah. There's a lot of things to do up there. We've got ATVs, we've got a bunch of wholesome family events that that can take place. And as the mayor was saying, I think what's critical to the resort corridor and in the community itself, they do plan, and we do work in harmony. Like with the sports, the fields that we've got, that collaboration is just. It's almost seamless, but it goes at a pace that's everybody's on the same page. Everybody sits and contributes, and like you said, 83% of the people turn out to vote. They're serious about who they're electing, and the people that they have elected are serious about their job and improving the community, and they work on with the gaming industry, hand in hand. And I think that. That's probably, the most critical thing we can do as far as the resort association. Gaming is going to be gaming. People are going to gamble, but 90% of the people that first time come out and visit now, 1 in 5 will say they come for the gaming, and then the other 90% that come out will say that they will return. Definitely return or probably return, which is our big, that's what we want to do. We want to give them something, from a gaming standpoint to the fine dining, any experience you can. And like the youth sports, it's a family type thing now. And with youth come adults. Yep. So I think it's well planned out and it's coming along fine.
Colton, let's talk a little bit more then about collaboration just on your end too. How are you working with some of the other economic development groups in some of our larger cities?
So great, we have great opportunities, and we really appreciate our partners in the economic development realm. We work closely with the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. Absolutely terrific partners. They really take Mesquite under their, kind of their wing, and they give us what they need. Even though we don't make up a huge portion of population base of Clark County and their region they cover, whatever it is we need, they're there to help, and they're kind of rooting for us. They're sending leads our way. They're letting people know about Mesquite. So couldn't be more pleased with our partners there. And then and with that, we also work with North Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, Laughlin. We meet on like a monthly basis, and we try to help each other out. We kind of view Clark County as as our own, even though we're all our own municipalities. We feel like we're in it together. If one of them, gets a win or grows, in a way, it helps and benefits us all. And so there's that collaboration, and everybody's really good sports with, trying to help each other out and share tips and tricks that have helped their community grow. We go on trips together and do lead generation. So we often go in various places, California, for example, where we go and meet with businesses, and we sit around a table like this, and we tell them the advantages and what we can do for them, whether they go to Henderson or Las Vegas or Mesquite, and everyone kind of is there to help that business relocate into Clark County, and where they wind up is kind of indifferent. So they're just great partners. A lot of positive experiences there.
And Mayor Lippman, I know you have a close relationship with the mayors in the urban areas too, and that there's a cohort that meets periodically. I'm wondering on your end, what are you teaching some of the mayors in more of the urban areas of what they can learn from a rural city like Mesquite?
I think one of the things that they're learning from Mesquite, and again from Boulder City too, is how to manage a city without just unbridled issues of growth that take place. Las Vegas is constantly looking for new land, and it isn't there. North Las Vegas had to come out of an economic situation that was beyond belief. John Lee has pulled it up beautifully. I think Deborah March is doing a great job. We have a new mayor down in Boulder City now, so we have to see how that goes, because I haven't really had much contact with them yet. Elections just took place. But again, we get along well, and we understand that each of us is part of Clark County. There's always been that rivalry between the cities and the county itself as two separate entities. But we're reaching out with them and saying, hey, we're all part of the same piece of pie here. We've got to work together to benefit the entire county.
Well, we're running out of time. We only have a minute left, but let's talk about County Commissioner Marilyn Kirkpatrick represents your area. Do you feel that relationship is a positive one and that it's growing in the right direction?
It's very positive. It's very positive. Marilyn comes out for things in the county that we rarely saw in the past. She's out there hustling for us, always looking to benefit Mesquite as well as the other rurals, and as well as the county in general. County commissioner that really cares.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, as always, for joining our discussion on Nevada Week. And we're going to continue this discussion on our Nevada Week Extras. So please visit our website to view this continuing conversation, or watch this episode again, or access resources that we've discussed on the show. Also, if you have a topic or issue that you'd like us to explore on a future Nevada Week, as always, we would love to hear from you. So please find us on social media or email us at nevadaweek@vegaspbs.org. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next Nevada Week.